So I've recently been on the job hunt. I quit my last job and I was like doing job interviews and trying to get in the mode, frame of reference of trying to acquire work. It requires kind of a style of talking and presenting yourself that's like different than normal speak. And there's like a unique thing about me is that I have a lot of interest, and I never kind of ended up specializing in too much, but I have like a wide variety of things that I've done that like kind of have led me to be multidisciplinary, which I find is kind of a good thing in this day and age. If you're specializing in something, then it better be worth you giving up your options to do something else, having the optionality to be able to move from one career to another. The way my life worked out is I kind of ended up being a generalist of sorts, where I know about a lot of things, but I do not really know specifically one of those things like intensely. Let's just kind of describe it like that. And so I'm thinking, like, I gotta have something that I can fall back on, where if an interviewer brings up or pushes on the fact that, hey, you have a lot of different jobs doing a lot of different things, and casting that as like sort of a potential negative or a sign that I'm more unstable or something. So I was thinking, it's like, what is some kind of like badass like movie phrase I can kind of I can skew in a like multidisciplinary generalist sort of way that would make me kind of that will make me appeal to a because I don't feel like it's really a negative. It's been beneficial to me and has allowed me opportunities to pursue other things. It's not going too hard into one thing. And granted, I would have liked to been able to be like a football player or something, but the environment and like my genetics didn't point out that I would be able to. So I was thinking about these, like, what could I use as kind of like a badass movie quote and skew it in the way of like a generalist sort of way. So it's like I'm doing a job interview, and lo and behold, the guy who's interviewing me, who was like, it was almost like a borderline interrogation, but he was thorough. I mean, what could I say? So he brings up, oh, you got a lot of different things you've done over the course of your work career. And so I just kind of lay back and I say, what I do have are a very non-particular set of skills. Ladies and gentlemen, this is The World According to Kyle podcast. Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's been a minute, but I'm back. We're going to do another pod before we slide into 2023. It is the 31st of December right now. You can find me on your various social media platforms: YouTube, TWA2K, Twitter, Kyleverse, TikTok, Kyleverse, Instagram, Commax86, Reddit, TWA2K. If you have questions for the show, topics you would like to see me cover, slide into one of my fantastic DMs and ask away. You can find me in podcast form on iHeartRadio, Spotify, or my private RSS feed, TWA2K, on YouTube. Also, now in video, my second video format podcast. I don't know, can you still call it a podcast if it's in video form? We're still working this shit out, folks. It's going to be a bit. I guess this is a vlog now, but unless you're listening to it on audio, then it's a podcast. I don't know. I'm thinking about these things more deeply than they deserve. I'm about 4 Crown and Cokes in at 12:30 p.m. on the 31st, like a Canadian trailer park boy stereotype that I am. Oh man, that is I was a little thick on the Crown on that on that drink. We're waiting for the Michigan TCU game to start in a couple hours. I figured I would drop a pod because now I am up to my quota. I didn't think I would finish my quota of 2 podcasts per month for 2022, but we had a fucking December to remember, and I quit my job, so that allotted me a lot of free time. And you know what? Better off spent advancing the pod than I was over at my last place. As if you tuned into my last podcast, I spent a half hour informing you of the melodramas that incurred over there. But needless to say, I'm in a better spot. I am starting a new job in 3 days on Tuesday, and I'll make more money per hour, and I'll work less for basically the same amount that I made working like 75% of Saturdays with overtime at my last place. So that's called an upgrade. I'm basically making like $4 an hour more than I am at the place that I was at, and I had a lot more responsibilities there also. So let's go. Good for me. It took me a little longer to find the job, but you got to kind of find the right place. I could have settled on a couple of things. A couple of other things fell through, but ultimately you got to make yourself open to finding new work in order to get it. And that's what I did, leaving my last job, and good things on the horizon. I'm and I had multiple potential jobs that I could have taken, and I settled on one, but it's like, as comfortable as I am with the concept of uncertainty, I have a really fucking hard time making decisions. Like, I can deal with the fact that, God plays dice, even though Einstein said there's no such thing as a God if God plays dice. I can deal with the uncertainty of our reality, like of life and death, of what's going to happen and not knowing. But when it comes to fucking making a decision, sometimes I'm just like, weighing all the pros and cons, and like, it's really fucking hard for me to make decisions, which you would think is like contrary if you're comfortable with uncertainty and the uncertainty principle, and the chaos of randomness and things that can happen in life. Like, I would think I'd have a lot more easier time making decisions than I do. So I don't know. Is that mindset the exception, or is it the rule? Like, I assume if you guys are following me, you're somewhat like science minded and know about like about the uncertainty principle and about like just not knowing what's going to happen and like so what do you think that do you have a hard time making decisions, or like is knowing about like physical reality, is that does that make you have the same sort of like indecisiveness that I have? Because that's it's so hard for me to sit down and make decisions. If you're putting a hard timeline on me to make a decision, then I might just go against it because I don't have enough time to think about the pros and cons and weigh it out. Now, I credit in a lot of part like my for the fact that I'm a little bit sought after in the job market, and I'm making I'm making like 25% more than I was, and it's because like I credit the fact that and people think I'm the sucker for this. Like when I go to jobs, like I don't just try and coast, and I don't just try and like be a cog in the machine. Like I want to take on as much as I can, and I want to learn as much as I can from the environment that I'm in. Like it's like you're kind of isolated, and there's all these different compartments and components of a job, and staying stuck inside of something is one way to kind of limit your what your job is giving to you. Because so that's why I just always like put a good foot forward, and I always have a good work ethic, is because like you get more out of trying than you do from not trying. I think it's irrational to not try. You can argue about what you think you're worth and what you're not worth, but if you kind of are always reluctant and pushing back and trying to stay complacent, then it's like, what are you getting out of your job? You're just getting a paycheck, and it's not helping you advance. Now, a big part of why I got a big pay bump is because I've made team lead my last two places that I was at, and that had to do with just willpower and like working hard and not saying no, never saying no, always taking new challenges. If they say, do you want to do this, say yes, and take it as a learning experience. And all those times, all those like things that other people turn down that helped me become more valuable to them. And having two team leads in a row, making two team leads in a row, and it is a good sign, especially if you don't get like fired from both places, which I quit this last place. So I mean, so now that I have a set of I have a non-particular from being a generalist set of skills that that employers are valuing now, and it's kind of tipping in that direction where specialty is less valued. And one of the big things that I make sure to bring up when I'm in a job interview that employers have really liked is the fact that I've done cross training, and I've cross trained employees to be able to learn multiple jobs. And now that is something which really kind of pushed me above a lot of the other interviews or people getting interviewed that they have done, which they seem to really like the fact that I've cross trained, and that comes from always keeping an open mind, trying to better myself. And if you ever think that what you're not getting paid is fair, then you go in and have a discussion. But you should never be not trying and just trying to coast, because it's just nonsensical to me. There's a point where you could be getting used, but then you got to stick up. But you should never just be trying to work multiple years at a place and still only learning one thing. That's a failure. That's not something you should be proud of. But enough of that. Enough of my life. We got a few subjects to touch on. Some pop culture, news related stuff that I wanted to touch on before we put a pin in 2022 once and for all. So first of all, I would be remiss. I have to mark this podcast safe, okay? TWA2K podcast is marked safe from getting stuffed into a closet by Greta Thunberg. So stay safe out there, guys. Yeah, just kidding. I don't give a fuck about Andrew Tate or his ideology. It kind of was and I'm no great fan of Greta Thunberg, I get this sense from liberals where they say, oh, you got to be doing better, but they have no real solutions, because the places that are doing the worst for the environment are not willing to change. The places that are producing the most emissions, that have the most overpopulation, that have the least have less climate standards, those are the places that are the reason that we're in a catastrophe. So what are your solutions? You want to just go to war with the world that's not gonna follow what you feel is acceptable climate progress? No. So it's so I'm not a great fan of those preachy liberals who don't really have any solutions, who are avoiding answering hard questions about how we get things done. What do you want to do? What do you want us to do? Some entire economies, entire people are dependent on oil, and you just want us to cripple them and produce mass poverty and starvation in these places because you feel like we need to make this change. Okay, but that's what you're in faith. That is a byproduct of us going on to fusion energy or solar energy, is that we're crippling entire economies. So, and those are often the same people who are just yes, world poverty is a tragedy, but if we did these things, it would create more poverty than is already existent right now, and more starvation and more disease and shit like that. But that being said, Andrew Tate is I can deal with a preachy liberal who might be a little overzealous and a little bit of an ideologue. I can deal with that. I cannot deal with rapey fucking douche bros who fucking think who think we lived some sort of great lives when we were all in hunter and gatherers, throwing fucking arrows at each other. Andrew Tate is just like a he's just a symptom of like kind of like this toxic fucking bro culture that is like, you know, when women point out this is toxic masculinity, he is like the example you can provide that, oh yes, this actually is a problem. So so this guy got stuffed into a closet when he tried to. So he tweets out this. So he tweets out this thing like calling out Greta Thunberg at her and says, "Hey, look at all these cars I have and all the emissions that they put out." Effectively, that's what he was saying. I'm not going to quote his exact tweet and talking about his cars and shit. And so he ats her, like he calls her out and says, "Hey, look at like the reason why you're tweeting at her is to piss her off because she's a, I don't even want to call her an activist. She is an activist, but like she just is ultimately at its core, she's just saying that climate change is a problem and needs to be addressed." And now some of the things she might say and attacking like European and Western cultures aren't doing enough when we're doing the most, and it's the other cultures that are not willing to change. That is but ultimately it's for the good of the planet. Like she wants the her activism is not grounded in anything that's selfish or anything. So and she sees these sorts of things like gas powered supercars and shit like that. You know, they are harmful for the environment. And so if you're adding her and saying, "Hey, look at this," so he tweets that, and then she replies to him. It's like, "Yes, that's very. Please enlighten me more at smalldickenergy@getalife.com or something." And it was just like the perfect kind of like, yeah. Why would you feel like the need to call someone out like this if you're just like, well, like, why do you feel that need? Like, why do you like, if you're just living your life and feeling fine about it, then why is anybody else's views on you hurting you at all? So the fact that you need to call out a girl because she is because she's a climate activist and you don't give a fuck about the climate or the world, then, I mean, that says more about the effect she has than anything, because you're giving her that power and saying that what she does say matters, and that it is it is harmful to you personally, not harmful overall. That you are you're acknowledging the fact that what she says is powerful, right? Now, I think he's like a symptom of a lot bigger of a problem. Like, there's a quote, "You made me do it" sort of attitude of these of this like alpha bro culture. Like, you know, you made me become a right-wing extremist, and you made me do this, and you made me embrace this ideology because you're so like that, and like and I think it's a little bit of two things. It's that, but among dudes where it's coupled by the kind of advancement of women's rights. And Now, women are becoming more aware of their rights and the power that they have and their effect and influence on the world. And like from an evolutionary perspective, you know, and that you know, love is not a right. Like, men do not have a right to be loved by a woman. And I think a lot of these dudes are sitting there single and just kind of like empty and hollow, and so they got to look for something to blame. And it's not myself. It's not that I'm a misogynistic piece of shit. It's, you know, that it's woke culture. It's that the people are getting too much rights. That's the reason why I'm unhappy. I think you got to look in the mirror on that one. Now, there's one aspect of this that I think we could change legislatively. That would help, and it's that would help mitigate the impact of incel culture and create it to be less violent. Now, I think the legalizing prostitution would help, and it would help detach the stigma. Women could make money that they want to make money. It would not push it underground. And like, really, I think a lot of these incels are just, they just can't get laid, and the prostitution is illegal where they're from. Like, look at Andrew Tate. He moved to Romania because they have less lax rape laws. Like, I mean, like, sex is probably guiding, like, you know, 50% of all men's decisions on like a fucking minute by minute basis. And, you know, we have like such empty and meaningless relationships, and I think like sacrificing your freedom to be in one of them it's kind of like it's a big sacrifice for men, and a lot of men don't even realize that. That I think it's like a situation of the grass is truly greener on the other side. Like, any even fucking like the best NBA stars in the world, there's like fucking women are getting divorced with them, like, he ain't treating me no good. Like, fuck, like, women the power that women have is like is admirable almost that they have over men. And if men think that they have to I think you should just that men who can't get laid. I mean, you see these videos. This guy who takes a trip to Amsterdam, and then they his bachelor party pays for him to lose his virginity. Like, it's I think that would help a lot, is like the stigma of like sex work, and would reduce sex trafficking and shit like that. And it would mitigate the effect that the violent and murderous effect that incels have. And if they have some sort of outlet where they can just pay for sex and get on with it, and that it's not treated like such a crime that and such a such a taboo thing, that I think that is something we should look at because you're not going to stop it anyways. If women want to make money doing it, they're going to do it. If men want to buy it, they're going to buy it. It would just prevent the ensuing criminality of it. And if it's easier to acquire, then men wouldn't resort to like violent outlets. You know, that's just my thought on this shit. Now, I don't know if you were familiar with the Twitter files. Elon Musk said there was all this serious evidence that would indict, the left, and will prove the left is corrupt, and it turned out to be an absolute nothing burger. And I don't fully support the left all the time, but getting on board with the right now is just like political and ideological and social suicide. Like, they're just leaning into like just stupid territory right now, and I cannot possibly I can't rationalize that. It's like a controversy on the right. Is this treason? And you have a controversy on the left. Is this anything at all? That's kind of where we're at right now. Because like ultimately the left does play by the rules, and mostly like they don't want to seem immoral and bad, and sometimes the problem with Hillary is that she overdid it and alienated her base, and that's why she didn't get elected, is because she alienated just the baseline of the demographic of people, where she was leaned too much into it, and that was ultimately a lesson that the left learned. But by and large, the left's policies are more popular with America, and not only that, but like it seems like the right is just grasping at straws to and hoping one of these things indicts the left like they wanted to, because they have no policies and they have no ideology. But that's in the States. In Canada, I think oppositely. Like, I think the left is. I think the right needs. The right is like the more rational way to vote in Canada, because we look at how we live our lives, and it is very universal and very very reasonable. And healthcare is not, you're not going to die if you have to have a trip to the hospital, stuff like that. Now, I don't really tell Americans what they what they want to do or should do, right? But I feel like they have been leaning more left in recent years. Now, I have a quick crypto update. By and large, not much has changed, but I liquidated some of my coins that I felt are not really doing all that much. The coins that I did keep were my number one holding, which is like 50% of my portfolio, XRP. My number 2 is Quant. My number 3 is Casper, and my number 4 is XDC. That's my bag right now. That's it. I liquidated everything else. SafeMoon I liquidated. HBAR I liquidated. Cross Wallet I liquidated. And that's it. But I just did it because, I think maybe we might be in for more bear action, and I just wanted to keep the things that if we do have another drop that I would be comfortable buying again. And that's true. If XRP, Quant, Casper, or XDC dropped further, I would feel comfortable increasing my bags. Now, one of my L's, I gotta fucking eat a big L on this one, is SafeMoon. And it was almost like the writing was on the wall for SafeMoon. I think SafeMoon fell apart when they fired Papa Cthulhu, and they went away from their initial business model and kind of flipped into a completely different direction under John Caroni. And like that, I think they ignored the tokenomics of it and tried to turn it into something it was not. And I could have got out, but I'm stubborn. I'm a stubborn guy. I want to I'm reluctant to admit I was wrong about something. And I didn't know right away that all these issues were happening with SafeMoon, and that they fired the Papa Cthulhu, and they were going in this completely different direction, away from tokenomics and into utility. Now, I was worried at the onset, but I just held on, and so I got in for cheap enough where it isn't like a super L for me, but it is like a 50% drop. It is what it is. I don't like the direction that the company is going in. I felt like they got away from their initial the thing that initially made them a good token to invest in. So that's it. I'll eat the L on a few of those, and a couple of them, they might not even be L's, and might pop later. But I kind of had to pick and choose. Those are the four that I'm sticking with. And by the way, folks, please put your shit in cold storage. We never know what's going to happen. If you're holding on to a coin, you're probably going to hold on to it for at least 5 years, and we don't know what's going to happen. FTX fucking skyrocketed. They were buying arenas they went from buying arenas to getting arrested in the fucking Cayman Islands. In the course of a year. So a lot can happen in a very short period of time. If you plan on holding your coins for a year or longer, they should be in cold storage. So just a little heads up to you folks. You guys got to make sure that you're protecting your assets. Okay? So good luck out there. Hopefully this is the end of we're approaching the end of the bear market. And if I had to guess, I would say yes, because bear markets traditionally don't last this long. And the past depressions have been major, or recessions there have been major catalysts for this. World War I, World War II, the subprime mortgage crisis. Are we in some of that right now, or is a lot of this just panic over COVID, and we're kind of getting behind it and or ahead of it, and things are slowly returning to normal? I'm more leaning in that direction than this is a catastrophe, and and everything's on fire. But I'm prepared for both scenarios. I'm prepared for if we go up, and I'm prepared if we go down. If we go down, I'm ready to DCA, dollar cost average, back into my amounts, and that's how you have to do it. So anything that I was not willing to buy, if we go down 50%, I got rid of, liquidated. I needed the extra cash because, I needed some time to find a job and stuff. So what are you going to do? There were like 5% holdings anyways. So maybe SafeMoon was a little bit more, but I was absolutely fed up with them. Now, sliding into a little bit of NFL. Tua should not play again this year. Now, I didn't think Tua was going to be great, and he definitely impressed me in the times that he was healthy and playing. I don't think he is like some sort of great quarterback. He can be a great game manager, and he still has some weaknesses. And he's like he kind of shut my mouth up. Because I thought he was like maybe a lot worse than he was. But all that being said, he should not play again this year. 3 concussions in 1 year is, if you like, let's just say he gets another one. 4 concussions in a less than 4 month span. It's like, you absolutely have to think about the kid's well-being at this time, and you need to tell him hey, Tua, like, live to fight another year, not day in this circumstance, but live to fight another year. You have to chill the fuck out right now, and maybe assess some of the reasons that you're getting concussed so much, and the holding on to the ball for too long, and not getting rid of it when you're in danger. And because you getting knocked out and you having you getting another concussion and you might not be able to play for, like, your career might end. I would say after that second one, that wrap it up for the year. You get 2 concussions in 1 year, I would wrap it up. 3, goodbye. Just take time to heal yourself and go into next season with a better, with your health more in mind. Like, extending the play for a couple seconds and the risk that you're taking, and having more awareness of your pocket, and and losing right now is better. You get a better draft pick, and you can have better O-line help. So, like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're risking your life to win a game in a season where you're probably not going to win the Super Bowl, let's be honest. I mean, you could. It's not out of the realm of possibilities. But think about the tough, gritty competition you're going to face, and the risk that you're putting your health in to play this much. And I'm not saying this because I'm not a Tua fan. I think that, he kind of showed me that, he showed me that I was wrong, that he has the skills to play in the NFL. So it's good. I was proven wrong. That's fine. But, I mean, you have to worry about the player more than anything else. And he is not going to do any good for his team if he can't play football anymore. And, like, doctors were saying it was malpractice to let him play again after the first concussion. And they said the worst thing possible is that he get a second. Now he's got a third in a calendar year. Done. That's it. I have nothing more to say on that subject. That's just, everybody wants to be great and everybody wants to excel at what they do. But I just want to make one thing perfectly clear, is that you could be the greatest fucking football player or basketball player. If you get in a bad situation, in bad circumstances, if Michael Jordan was drafted by the Charlotte Hornets, he would not have won 6 championships. So we have such an emphasis on this whole thing, winning championships, and not just recognizing greatness and goodness independent of winning championships. I think that's something we need to reassess, because Trevor Lawrence, for instance. Trevor Lawrence, there are 8 teams that I can count that are one Trevor Lawrence away from being a Super Bowl contender. But he's on the Jags. So, I mean, I can realize, and this was even before he started lighting it up. You could see his skill set, his deep passing ability, his analysis of coverage and zone schemes, and where his best leverage is. And you could see, if you give this guy to fucking Kyle Shanahan, the 49ers might be winning a Super Bowl. So a lot of life, and this is going back to what I was just talking about earlier, is just dumb luck and getting put in the right circumstance. And that's why we respect Calvin Johnson as one of the greatest wide receivers that has ever played, is that we can look at, irrespective of his circumstance, that he was truly a great wide receiver. That his circumstance sucked, but for him to put up those great numbers in that sort of circumstance is incredible, is monumental. Now, speaking of great wide receivers, I know there's only 2 weeks left in the NFL season, but barring anything crazy happening, if this kind of what's happened now just averages out for the next 2 games, if I had a vote, Justin Jefferson would be the MVP of this season. I just think that if Minnesota had, a average wide receiver 1 in that circumstance, in their same situation, that they would be going 500. And right now they're 12 wins, 11 wins. So, and Mahomes kind of had an average Mahomes season. It was great, but you could argue Hurts or Burrow for sure. And Burrow beat Mahomes, and they're pretty close. And it's not super outstanding. I think Justin Jefferson is the NFL's MVP. He is the most valuable player. I think he gave the Minnesota Vikings 5 or 6 more wins, and there's only 2 games left. He might get 2,000 yards. I think he only needs 220 yards to get 2,000 yards on the season, which is crazy. These are we're talking about Randy Moss. We're talking about Terrell Owens, Jerry Rice territory here. He is for sure the MVP of this season. And I don't care whether you say Mahomes lost Tyreek Hill. Okay, they're still the number 1 seed. Yeah, but they're beatable. They're not juggernauts. Minnesota is only a Super Bowl contender because of him. Because of him. He's just fucking the greatest wide receiver. I don't like, and I love Jamar Chase. I'm a Bengals fan. Jefferson is just fucking amazing. Amazing. And Chase could give him a run for his money. Chase was injured for a little bit there. I think a lot of things go in favor of Jefferson. I think he has a better situation to produce more numbers because he has because his team isn't so great defensively and they have to air it out more, and they're in more close games where he's getting work for all 4 quarters. So there's a little bit of circumstance going into why Justin Jefferson is able to produce such incredible numbers. But he's also followed through on it incredibly, and you cannot knock him for it. He is the MVP of the NFL right now, and IDGAF what anybody else has to fucking say about the issue. Now, let's finish off with one final topic before we pack it in for the new year. Now, my plan for 2023 is I am going to go over all of my past 37 episodes, and I'm going to create a greatest hits compilation. It's for 2 reasons: to like help introduce people to the show, to go through my work, and kind of for me to analyze what I like the best, and like to be able to have some sort of like condensed video or highlights for me to show like other shows, if they like, because there's always opportunities popping up, always people looking for co-host and stuff like that. And so if I figured I'm gonna put a one greatest hits of like my top 37 of my 37 episodes. One's going to be like on the world and news stuff, and another greatest hits is going to be on sports. So I think that's what I'm going to do for the month of January. And then I think I'm going to go I'm going to do the same thing as I did this year, 2 episodes per month. And gonna kind of get into a good groove and get into a 1 per week routine for next year. Now, if it happens this year and I'm going good and the flow is going good and everything, then we'll get into a 1 per week this year. Ultimately, I wanted to get to 100 episodes, and I don't care about the views or the likes or whatever. I just want to get to 100 episodes. So I could get pretty close there if I did 1 episode per week for 2023. But I also don't want to, bite off more than I can chew and go too fast while I'm not like refining my style. So January of 2023, I'm going to go over all of my work and cut a greatest hits compilation for news and sports. And so February, we'll be going back at it, 2 per month. until I feel like I'm good to go one per week. All right, so the last subject that I wanted to bring up, and I've seen this brought up, is the homelessness issue. Now, I feel like a lot of people talk about it and how to solve this, and I want to bring a real solution because I'm a solutions guy. I hate people who just fucking complain about shit and they don't talk about how it can be solved. Now, I feel like I have the best possible solution for in order to fix this. Now, you know, I've eaten my fair share of shit sandwiches and have been in bad situations, and my will has been able to overcome this, and I've been able to do what I need to do to get out of it. But a couple cards dealt in the in the wrong direction would have really fucked up my ability to do this. And I view sometimes people are to blame for their own demise. Other times, the people around them and their environment plays a large role. Now, what I feel is the best way to do to create the best possible solution on both sides. Like, some people probably genuinely just want to not work and get change and you know, whatever they got to do. But a lot of people are displaced because they, you know, don't have family support, don't have environment support, got into bad circumstances, health problems. What we need to do to help stamp out homelessness is you need to create a government program where you get people on their feet. Now, this is a government program where it would effectively be kind of like a halfway house, except you would provide counseling and mental health services on top of being a kind of a place where people can live. They would live for free there, but the idea is to provide them with the resources to get them on their feet and get them living independently. Like, it would be, you know, a building where, say, you know, I'm homeless and, I just don't have nowhere to go. And it's like, yeah, I want to work and I want to do this, but I got a criminal charge. And so you would go into this, this house, it's or a complex, a building complex, and they would just make sure that you do the right things and you sign a contract with them saying you'll stay here for 6 months and follow their program. And by the end of the program, the idea is to get you out, moving, living on your own, working, and being, self-sustaining. Because I feel like a lot of people, especially in Toronto, it's so hard to find places, and like you can live in a fucking crack house and they still want you to have like a 600 credit rating. Like, it's ridiculous. So I think that is the issue, and I know my friends on the right aren't gonna say, oh, hey, more government funding, but I think if we do this right, if we do this the right way, that this will be a lot more of a benefit to society than a detriment. And it would, I just sympathize with the fact that people can be dealt a shit hand in life, and that their downfall is not necessarily their own doing. That a lot of it is trusting other people too much, being too dependent on certain relationships, stuff like that. Like, I just recognize the fact that people can be dealt a shit hand in life and end up on the street because of it. And I think that if we have some sort of program whose idea is to reform and get homeless people being productive members of society, that way the people who want to stay homeless can stay homeless, and they don't want to pay rent, and they want to live off the street, and they want to live off change from others and get high, fine, they're allowed to do that. But people who have perhaps been in a disposition can have an option to get out, because I think that's all people want. All some people want is just an option to get out and live a normal life. That's just my 2 cents. Did I fix homelessness? I don't know, but it's certainly a better fucking idea than anything else we've been putting forward. So everybody, have a great New Year. Happy New Year. Looking back, it's been crazy. This has been 2 years of doing this. Here's to 2 more. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the World According to Kyle podcast. See y'all in 2023.